Okay, it says live.
All right, welcome everyone. This is Jason, and I'm here with Eric Thompson, the creator of Subtle Energy Sciences, and we're going to be doing a live Q&A tonight about subtle energy technology and also a guided third eye activation. So without further ado, Eric's going to be leading the meditation first, and then we're going to get into some of the questions and answers you guys have about the technology. Welcome, Eric.
Thank you, Jason. I want to thank you, Jason and Joshua and everyone with Euphoric Media helping us get this all set up. This is our second webinar so far this year. I'm really excited to do this with you guys. I've been working on the energy for this for the last couple of days, and I'm high as a kite. I'm not going to share my camera right now because what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and switch to screen share, and let's see here. We'll get let's do this. I'm going to switch this to screen share, and then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a short introduction about who I am, what the company is. I assume a lot of you already know who I am, so I won't spend a lot of time on this, but I assume some of you are also new. And I'm just going to talk about the outline of what we're going to do here tonight. We're going to be here for at least 60 minutes. We may go over if anybody wants to ask questions. So basically what we're going to do tonight is as soon as I get done with this introduction, we're going to do a short meditation. And it's going to be about 20 to 30 minutes. This is going to be a third eye activation, okay? Where is everybody seeing the screen share that I'm sharing right now?
Yes.
Okay, great. So what's embedded in this picture are some frequencies, silent, subtle energy frequencies that even at this moment are going to be helping to lead your entire energetic system into a deep state of meditation, going to help awaken the third eye and safely awaken the Kundalini energy. We're going to spend about 20 to 30 minutes doing this. Then afterward, we're just going to open up to Q&A. I want you guys to feel free to ask any question you like, whether it's about meditation, whether it's about this meditation, spirituality in general, subtle energy science, or the different types of technology that we release here. Feel free to ask anything. And then we're going to make a special announcement at the end, and we'll also have links for you. If you're not already familiar with our technology, we'll have a free download for you at the end that you can download, the Quiet Mind Meditation Mandala, which now is more powerful than ever. And so let's get started. My name's Eric Thompson. I'm the founder of Subtle Energy Sciences. This is a company that's powered by subtle energy. So what is subtle energy? Subtle energy is basically any type of energy that is so subtle that it's not typically recognized as energy per se in physics. So in physics, there are four types, four known forces, sometimes divided into five forces. They're the strong and weak nuclear forces, electromagnetism, sometimes broken up into electricity and magnetism, and then gravity. And any energy outside of those, like chi, prana, orgone energy, kundalini energy, the chakras, healing energy, if you've been familiar with any of these types of traditions, these types of energies will all be categorized as subtle energy. Not necessarily the same thing as some people would say. Some people say orgone, chi, prana, kundalini are all the same thing. And in actuality, that's not exactly true. They are related. They're similar in many ways, but there are differences between them. And so what we do as a company is we create designer environments with these specially designed subtle energetic frequencies. You can download them as digital downloads, either audios or picture files that have these energies embedded in them, and then you pull them up onto your any electronic devices, whether it be your computer, your tablet, phone, what have you, and you can even print them out which is really nice as well, and they'll carry the energy. And they essentially transform your electronic devices into powerful, subtle energy, life force energy, and intelligence machines that can empower your life in various ways. So that's what the company does. That's who I am. I founded this company several years ago. And I've been fascinated with this, and I consider my life as really pretty much a dream that I get to follow this passion. There are not a lot of companies out there like us right now, and I do think we're kind of on the cusp of a new trend, and I do consider many aspects of this technology to be a breakthrough. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay. Now for the next 30 minutes, what we're going to do is we're just going to take a little journey inside your own consciousness. But before we begin, I'd just like you to create a sacred space, unplug your cell phones, close the door, get comfortable, and make sure you're not going to be disturbed for about the next 20 or 30 minutes, okay? Now, if you're listening to this while you're driving, I will tell you to be a little careful, okay, because this energy can get quite strong. It's quite blissful, and I wouldn't want it to distract you from driving. So if you are driving, please be careful. I don't technically recommend driving while you listening to this meditation. So now let's take the time to just get fully present with ourselves. What we're going to do is you're going to come into this meditation with full awareness of your purpose of sitting. You want to take time to connect with yourself, to make conscious contact with your spirit, your own life force energy. Just allow yourself to become aware of the life force energy in your body right now as we begin the meditation. So you're not thinking about what happened early in the day. You're not thinking about your business. You're not thinking about what you're going to do tomorrow. You're not thinking about what you're going to do in an hour from now, okay? And I invite you to come into the meditation in this present moment with the intention of connecting with yourself. You want to sit comfortably upright with your spine straight, just sitting comfortably upright, okay? We want to make sure that the energy is able to move up, because that's what evolutionary energy does. It evolves upward and outward. We just want to make sure we leave room and that our posture allows that energy to move as we start awakening our Kundalini. I want to make sure you're nice and comfortable. So let's begin by closing the eyes and taking a slow, deep, full breath in through the nose, filling the lungs, and as you exhale through the nose, just relax and let go. Feel the life force energy being drawn into your lungs. Feel the energy that's in the oxygen moving through the blood, passing through your muscles, tendons, and bones. Feel that subtle current. See if you can start to notice it. And with each inhalation, collect any tension in your body and then just release that tension with the outgoing breath. Now feel yourself settling into a peaceful, calm state. And imagine the atmosphere around you being blessed and purified. If you notice any mental clutter, any chatter, any thoughts, any stories, just imagine that they're part of that part of your mind that's like a television set, okay? And just leave it running in the room next door. Don't worry about it. If the mind starts going off, just let it do its thing. Don't worry about it. Okay? You can always attend to it later. And I invite you to leave your mind alone, whether it's thinking or not, and just be aware of the life force energy in your body. Now there's something in you that's causing your heart to beat. It's greater than your conscious mind. Just be aware of that life force, that innate intelligence, that spirit that is animating your own existence. put your attention on that. There's something in you that's led you here to be in this meditation. Something's compelling you to develop yourself more deeply. There's a deeper part of you that has led you to desire to fulfill your highest potential. What is that? It's leading and guiding you and putting in you this quest to fulfill the purpose for which you were born. Intend to merge with that. Just be aware of that. Now, whatever it is that's guiding and compelling you to develop this higher aspect of your potential, I invite you to just connect with that right now. Just intend to trust that that is exactly what is happening in this moment. Just intend to connect with the deeper aspect of yourself, your own indwelling spirit. This is your time to consciously soak and bathe in that higher aspect of who you really are. We spend most of our days immersed in our waking, chattering mind, identifying with what we're thinking and feeling and desiring. Meditation is a time when we can more deeply commune with that higher spiritual aspect of our own consciousness. So just observe that there's something greater than your individual self that's alive within you. The same life force that's beating your heart right now is the same life force that created and sustains the entire universe, and maybe an entire plethora of universes. It's the same intelligent life force that has been guiding you your entire life, gently urging you to grow beyond yourself, to fulfill a higher purpose, to make your life a living prayer, a contribution to the greater existence. In truth, we're already that profound state of inner peace and oneness that we desire. It's in us. We are that. But our mind has not accepted it yet. So this is our time to consciously reconnect with that part of ourselves that is already enlightened. Again, feel the atmosphere around you being purified and blessed by this divine, gentle life force intelligence showering down upon you. Allow it to gently penetrate your entire body, automatically releasing any tension and leaving deep relaxation in its wake. And rather than trying to meditate, I invite you to just allow yourself to be meditated. To allow the feeling of the intelligent life force, the spirit within you, to be your guide. This process we're entering into is entirely yin in nature. It's not about doing or struggling with your mind. It's simply about letting go, trusting, and being. So now we're going to go into the actual third eye activation. Now, as you continue to breathe in and out slowly and deeply, simply allow your eyes to roll up and gaze into the point between your eyebrows. With your eyelids closed, your eyes are gently rolled up such that it seems like you're gazing into the dark screen of your mind. It's not a forced gaze. If there's any strain on the eyes, if they flutter, if they twitch, just drop your gaze. Find a place to settle that feels comfortable for you. Remember, this is yin. No effort here. If you hear anything in the background, we have some thunder outside. And more important than where you're looking with that eyes closed gaze. It's really about what you're tuning into. So again, I invite you to put your attention at the point between the eyebrows with the intention of connecting with the life force within you, with the spirit that is guiding you even in this moment. Now, to help steady your focus here, it can be helpful to imagine breathing in and out of this point between the eyebrows. This should be effortless. So if at any time you get caught up in a thought or a story or a memory, just gently notice it without any judgment and gently bring your awareness back to breathing in and out of this point between the eyebrows. We're essentially practicing a form of mindfulness of the breath. But what we're imagining is that the breath is moving in and out of this point between the eyebrows. And if you hear any other sounds in the background, that's just the heater. So don't let that bother you. Now, as you do this, your brain waves will naturally begin to slow down, and they'll become deeper and deeper states of consciousness, because basically what's happening here is by putting your attention on this third eye area, you're creating a biofeedback mechanism. So as we focus on this this area, we're basically sending energy into the third eye. And in turn, this is stimulating the release of neuropeptides, and they're triggering a natural relaxation response. So the third eye area is associated in part with the pineal gland, which, among other things, plays a major role in the detection and mediation of subtle energy and life force energy. So if you're wanting to develop your sensitivity to subtle energy, meditating on this point between the eyebrows is a great way to develop that aspect of yourself. It's a kind of power button, so to speak, because it's been utilized for millennia by the Siddha tradition to awaken the Kundalini energy. We're talking at least 8 to 10,000 years of this tradition. So as you focus on this area, your Kundalini energy is being gently awakened at the base of the spine so that it rises up the spine through the brainstem and up through the crown of the head. The subtle energy technology embedded in this graphic is also facilitating this third eye activation and safe awakening of the Kundalini energy. And it's not necessary to look at the graphic. You can keep your eyes closed, but the graphic will be emanating this beneficial, blissful energy that you should be feeling through your computer or your electronic device on which you're accessing this webinar. So your focus right now should still be more or less effortless, just allowing the eyes closed gaze to rest between the eyebrows and deflecting all thoughts gently back to this area between the eyebrows. Breathing in and out of this point between the eyebrows. The attention is not struggling to awaken the Kundalini energy. You're not trying to meditate, because that's happening of its own. All that is needed is just to allow, to be open to receive, and to allow yourself to be meditated. Now, every time you're distracted by a thought or a feeling in your body, it's only serving as a reminder to go back to the feeling between the eyebrows. This feeling is what I was referring to earlier when I talked about the importance of tuning in. You really just want to become effortlessly focused on the feeling between the eyebrows. So just keep focusing on that feeling. And as you continue to focus on the feeling will start to get stronger. You want to use this feeling as your guide. This is your homing beacon. And if you can gently and more or less effortlessly focus your attention and intention at this point between the eyebrows, it will guide you down deeper and deeper into meditation. You simply want your attention to go into the feeling between the eyebrows and let it carry you like you're being guided by the feeling into an infinite abyss of pure bliss. And as you hone in on it, as you tune in, and you allow yourself to align with the subtle current, you'll begin to feel bliss streaming through you. And so what I'd like to invite you to do, if it feels comfortable, is just kind of raise your hands to either side like you were surrendering, you know? You put your hands up and spread your palms wide and your fingers wide like they're satellites. Keep your eyes closed and your focus at the point between the eyebrows. And now, just for a short time, I invite you just to imagine that your hands are satellites and that your spine is an antenna, naturally attracting this energy. And really, this Shakti energy is all around you. It's who you are, okay? But the technology is just helping you to tune into it more easily. And just imagine that your spine and your hands and your third eye are all attracting this energy in, and it's all coming into your body with each inhalation. And with each exhalation, your aura, your biofield, just becomes more filled with light, larger and larger and larger. With each inhalation, you're just breathing in this energy like a little baby. You're just accepting it as an offering. And with each exhalation, you're letting go of any tension, any blocks to spiritual growth. You're just intending to let them go. Now you want to go into this feeling. And the more open you are to receive this blessing, the more you'll receive it. This life force current is actually already there in you because it is you. It's who you are. You don't have to get it, and even though the subtle energy technology that's embedded in this artwork is assisting you in getting in touch with this aspect of yourself, you don't really need anything to experience this because you already are this. Now, technology like this, though it can make it easier for you to more deeply and consciously access and connect with your indwelling spirit on a regular basis. And in fact, that's what meditation is. Meditation is a type of technology that allows you to more consciously connect with your spirit. This subtle energy technology is an exterior kind of technology that helps you do that as well. Now, you don't have to stop your mind. I invite you to just be aware of what is already there causing life within you and dive into it. Just let your attention go there. Keep your focus on the feeling like you were floating on a cloud of pure bliss, pure acceptance, pure openness and spaciousness. There's no effort in sitting on a cloud of bliss. The bliss just surrounds you and permeates you. No effort. Just kick back and relax, gaze into the point between your eyebrows, and let the feeling take you deeper and deeper within yourself. And let yourself go into that feeling until you merge into it and become one with it. And as you hear my voice, just allow the energy that's coming through my voice to wash over you, relax you, and meditate you. No effort. If at any time you find your mind struggling, just say, I'm open to receive. Relax and let go. Bring your attention back to the point and feeling between the eyes. Follow the feeling and just let go. Now, every one of us on this call right now, I ask each one of us to just intend that we're all connecting in spirit together in this very moment. All of us, no matter where we are on the planet, we're merging as one. We're joined together as one in spirit. And there's a peacefulness, like we're just enjoying a space together. Like we're floating on this cloud of spiritual peace and bliss together. It's just who we are. Now let's all relax and let ourselves be guided by this feeling, enjoying the feeling, soaking it up. Just allow yourself to be carried by this feeling and merge with it. Now I'm going to continue to coach you. If we had been meditating together for longer periods of time, I would be silent more. But because I'm acting as a coach right now, I'm going to gently push you a little bit. Help you intensify your focus. Maybe later down the road we can do longer meditations that are completely silent. And we will. Okay? But at this moment, let's focus at the point between the eyebrows. Just galvanize your focus there. Breathing in and out of this point. Just kick back and let yourself go into the feeling until you merge into it. Now you might feel a little current flowing at this point between your eyebrows. This third eye is acting as a kind of access point through which you're, even in this very moment, activating and awakening your Kundalini energy safely and smoothly. And it's happening of itself. You don't have to force it. It's just a very natural process that siddhas have been practicing for thousands of years, reliably. And of course, you get the benefit of having this technology that's quickening your spirit and making it easier for you to do this. So you're really on the cusp, on the edge here in terms of what's available to us for waking up. And as you're feeling this connection, you're actually activating a part of your energetic potential that's been asleep, so that who you are and your purpose for being is starting to become more and more apparent. So now I'm just going to be silent for a few moments, and I'd like you to keep your focus breathing gently at this point between the eyebrows. And if you get distracted, just let go, be open to receive, bring your attention back to this area between the eyebrows, and just follow the feeling until you merge with it. Relax and let go. Observe what you're feeling. Observe the feeling of the life force in your body. Acknowledge that that which gives you life is you. Without it, you wouldn't be alive. Observe the feeling. Then observe yourself observing the feeling. What part of you is observing that part of yourself right now? Observe the feeling. Soak in it. Bathe in it. Get it right down into your bones. Now we're going to back up just a little bit. You want to back up a little bit in your awareness and observe the part of yourself that is observing the feeling. Back up yet again in your awareness and observe yourself, observing yourself, observing yourself, observing yourself, observing yourself. Just keep backing up and observing your awareness of your awareness, of your awareness, of your awareness. Be aware of how you're feeling right now. Take a deep breath and just observe the feeling in your body and the state that you're in at this moment. And know that you can come back to this state and go even deeper simply by remembering it. And each time you meditate with this recording, you'll connect with it at ever deeper levels, and this connection will become clearer and stronger, and the bliss will develop, and the feeling will guide you ever deeper, and your consciousness will continue to awaken. Anytime you're feeling anything other than this, what you're feeling right now, it's only serving as a reminder to get back in touch with yourself. If you're not feeling good, not feeling the divine presence, it's only because you're ignoring it, or you didn't know that you had a choice. So just choose to come back again and again, and you will continue to develop your connection with this part of yourself. So I'd like to close by offering blessings and salutations to your mother and father. Just go ahead and bless your mother and father, whether they're alive or not. Send blessings to your spiritual teachers, your children, your husband or wife, your siblings, friends, pets, and other loved ones. This is a great time to send those kinds of blessings because now this energy that you've cultivated within yourself is riding with those blessings. It will benefit those you love as well as yourself. And if you have anything against anybody, we're in here in the U.S., we're in election mode, so there's probably a political candidate or candidates you don't like, or their followers and supporters you don't like. If there's anybody that you have against, anything you have against anyone, for any reason, just send them love and blessings right now. With no expectations, not condescending, just an equal, free offering of love. With no expectations other than to forgive and heal. And now let's just send some of this loving energy to everyone and anyone in the world who is suffering in any way. Anybody who'd hurt themselves or another. Anybody who may be struggling just to survive. Let's just give the whole world a hug right now. May the whole world live in happiness and peace. And may you enjoy long life, prosperity, happiness, and peace. Namaste. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes, come back into the room, and when everybody's ready, we can start Q&A. You there, Josh? Jason?
Yeah, I'm here. That was great. Feeling pretty high. Kind of here.
I'm floating, brother.
I think Josh. I think I saw him in the astral plane somewhere. He was with some girl he really likes. I think he'll be back.
Okay, so Joshua, what do we need to do to get lined up for Q&A? I turned my camera on, but I don't know if people can see me right now.
Well, until Josh gets in here, we just need to field questions. We have a thread in the Facebook community, the Subtle Energy Practitioners group. You can also click on the link at the bottom left of the page with any questions you have.
No, Mandala, or Michael Marino, I see a question that you have there. No, you don't have to close any mandalas you have open on your computer. Not unless they're contraindicated to meditation. If it's for morning boost or something like that for energy, or it's catalyst, those probably aren't conducive to meditation.
You guys can also unmute yourselves, but if it gets too noisy, just please remute yourself if you have a question on the live call. If you got too much background noise, or if there's static, or anything like that.
So I can see. I have a group chat that I can see in the right-hand corner here. There should be an area. I don't know why we're not hearing from Joshua, but there should be an area on the page where you can ask questions.
Yeah, can you go to that page on your screen? You're not hearing from Joshua because he's unable to unmute himself, and because he's the host.
I pushed the link, but it's just. Oh, there it is. Okay. Okay, so I'm not seeing any questions. Oh, I know you guys got questions. I know you guys got questions.
Eric, if you go to the bottom left, have a question or comment on the Subtle Energy /live page. You can go to that. You can show people where to ask the question.
I did. I just clicked it. It brought me to Facebook, but I'm not seeing any questions.
Okay, yeah, we don't have any yet.
Okay, I'm back. I created a technical glitch for myself, but I figured it out.
Okay.
If anyone's on the broadcast with us, you can unmute yourself, and if you're having trouble unmuting yourself, if you can find the chat, you can just let us know and I'll unmute you. But for whoever's on the video here with us, feel free to chime into the conversation and ask Eric a question while we're waiting for some questions to come in.
I did have a question. It's not related to this. It's you a while back you had released the heart, prana heart, strong prana, and strong prana and strong heart. And with them, for the beta testers, you actually released a small one, sort of by mistake, which was actually meant as an advertisement. It was for each of them, an audio file that was only about a megabyte or two. Is that one complete enough that we could actually use that for a small audio?
I don't really know. I mean, that's been so long ago. I couldn't tell you. I'm not sure what you're referring to. Are you talking about the demo?
Well, you had with the prana, strong prana, and the strong heart. There was a 20-minute audio, a 60-minute audio, but then you also sent something that was small. But you said, oh, that was like a demo or something. Is that complete, or it's not really complete?
Well, that was close to a year ago. So I really have to go back and look, Michael. I'd have to go in my hard drive and see what I sent you all. I don't remember.
I could send it to you. I have it.
Okay, that's fine. You're asking if the energy is strong enough in that you can use it as a standalone.
Well, in other words, not strong enough, but is is it a complete? Is it complete in that short period? Is it complete?
Yeah, I mean, yes, it is. So basically, what you've just let everybody know is that they don't have to buy a product. They can just download all the demos, and that's all they need. Okay.
Sorry.
Because it's true. I mean, it's the energy's in the demo, so it's not like it starts at minute 1 and it finishes at minute 5, and if you don't get all those minutes in between, it's not complete. No, the energy is in every second of the
audio
demo.
file.
So yeah. But I just ask people, please don't take advantage of me and just download the demos, and because I wouldn't be able to do this work without your support.
The only thing I like the ones that you just recently. Which one was it? The pure light with the white light, because with it small like that, even though I don't have a real lot of RAM like some people who open 300 copies, I can open a lot of copies of that audio file without taking too much computer memory out.
Okay. Well, in the future, I think again, I'll try to make shorter audios available with future audio products, so that you can do that. But I mean, often for me, it's difficult to remember that because one audio does it for me. When I hear people saying, well, I opened up 50 copies of the audio, it just blows my mind because I could never do that. So, but yeah, I'll I don't know how strong that demo is. The demos usually aren't as strong as the final product.
Right.
But yes, if you want to use the demo to amplify it that way, you can do that.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
I have a question.
All right.
I'm really fascinated with the audio acupuncture product in combination with other products because it seems to be really effective for me. I think.
Which are you talking about? The old one I did with iWake?
I'm talking about the beta testing one that you.
Well, we can't really talk about that because it's not finished, and it may never get finished. I mean, you like that, but it's not. Not everyone has been thumbs up on that one, so it's probably best to save that one for a private conversation.
All right.
I might as well go ahead and ask it, but I'm going to have people now saying, please release this, and it's not ready, and I don't know if it will be ready. So yeah, but go ahead.
Well, I'm just a big student and have studied Chinese medicine extensively, and I know that each organ system inside of our body is responsible for a different emotion, negative and positive. And I just kind of like the idea of running something like that, and I could use the old one from iAwake in conjunction with something else that seems to be really effective for me personally. And I was kind of curious about what you feel about subtle energy and how it communicates in kind of the Chinese medicine format to the different organ systems and stimulates them to release a certain energy.
Well, I don't actually focus on releasing all that kind of stuff as much. I know enough about Chinese medicine to talk about it, but I wouldn't consider myself an authority on it by any means. The way audio acupuncture was originally done was it was done by capturing basically an energetic map of each of the acupoints in the human body, what an acupoint looks like or feels like energetically when the qi is flowing through it. And it was more of a concept to see what would happen. It was not something I'd ever done before, so it was more of an experiment. And the first one turned out pretty well. I got a lot of accolades for that one. A lot of people do like that one a lot. But I wouldn't consider myself an expert in Chinese medicine. I work with some of these things more that when it comes to releasing blocks, I think sometimes that the human mind can make things a little more difficult than it needs to be. So we'll say, oh, I've got to release the energy in my gallbladder so that I can get this life change in here, and so on and so forth. But sometimes it's as simple as just saying, just connecting with your higher self, usually during prayer or meditation, and just saying, whatever's going on here, I don't know what's going on. But I just ask for wisdom and insight into how to just kind of let this go. And then when you ask, the big key that I have found personally is to simply believe that you have already received what you've asked for in prayer. You just, so that there on after, when you think about that problem, you'll say something like, well, I don't know exactly what the answer is, but I know it's coming because I've asked and I'll receive. And it's just a simple kind of faith in really your highest self, but it's not blind. Because the reason it's not blind is because you want to start doing this with small things at first, and the better you get at it, you'll notice, and I do it, this is one of my main practices, is that I try to stop and ask the divine for wisdom on just about everything I do. And when I'm not doing that, I try to stop and check and say, okay, am I living by the wisdom that's in my mind? Or am I surrendering to the divine? Am I listening to the divine within me? And really the way you do that is you stop and ask. Because everything has to be by free will. So that's how I would generally start approaching these kinds of things. I personally wouldn't be able to give you expert advice on what meridian channels to pay attention to, and how to do specific types of meditations to release those energy channels. Again, because that's not my area of expertise. When I did audio acupuncture, again, that was more of an experiment. The first one of which seemed to turn out pretty well. I was going to do a follow-up to that, which is the one you're talking about. And it appears that some of you guys are really doing really well with that, but not everyone has kind of latched onto it like you have. So if I don't get a complete thumbs up on something like that, it just needs more work. And because that's not necessarily my primary focus, it may take me a while to get back to that.
Great answer, Eric. I just want to preface for everyone who's new that's listening that some of the questions that have just been asked, it's coming from members of a private, a smaller group of Eric's customers and a community that's been built over several years. We call it the Subtle Energy Early Adopters, or the Beta Testers group. And so there's things that are in the works that haven't been released yet, or that may be released in the future, or may never be released. And there's an exclusive group of people that get the privilege of kind of getting access to and testing those things. And so maybe you'll be learning more about that in the future. Eric, we have 2 other questions in the queue here.
Okay, what queue? Where are you finding that? I don't know where they are.
There's a few places where they come in, but for people who are on the Hangout, or there might be a couple other ways that it's possible for them to do this. On the left side of your screen, there's a little light blue icon that says Q&A on the Hangout screen.
Okay.
On the left, it's a blue, and it says chat.
Oh.
You click on it, then the chat comes to the right. Yeah, there you
go. Not the chat, but one of the icons in that same location.
Yeah, I see it now. I see 2 questions up there. Thank you,
so
guys.
If you want, you can select the first one from Jerome.
Okay.
Click on the select
There's a select. I don't see.
Oh, okay. It's just on mine. I'm going to select it. All right.
So the question is, does the pineal gland have to be cleared of calcification before you can see with the third eye? You know, there's a lot of interesting teaching out there on that. And I know that there's something to that, but I have to, now as someone who's been involved in third eye meditations for a while, you know, I've had an awakened third eye. I've had profound experiences, even when I didn't have a great diet. You know, even when I was probably drinking water that was chlorinated. You know, sometimes I get the impression that people who write about this decalcification of the third eye, that they're repeating what they've heard. You know, I do think there's something to it. I personally have not seen any scientific verification of that claim, but it makes sense to me. However, what I would tell you is that one of the best ways to develop your third eye is through these kinds of meditations, and really just putting your attention there and being aware of the energy rising up through the spine into that area just above the brain stem in the center of the brain that's called the cave of Brahman, where the pineal gland, the pituitary gland, and the third ventricle are all nested. Because this is really, this is a big area in terms of spiritual development, because the spiritual energy is interacting with the cerebral spinal fluid that's moving up through the spine and is coalescing there in that third ventricle, which is an empty area. And so that empty area that surrounds the thalamus, the hypothalamus, the pituitary gland, which is typically, it's a master gland. It's associated in most traditions with the third eye. Some traditions associate the pineal gland with the third eye. And some traditions put both of them there. And some of them even bring in the cave of Brahma. And basically, in my experience, all three of these areas, the pineal gland, the pituitary gland, and the cave of Brahma, when they're acting in unison together, and that Kundalini energy, because we've talked about earlier in a previous webinar how subtle energy has an affinity for water and fluid. And notice that we're made up 70% fluid, right? The blood, the amniotic fluid, the cerebrospinal fluid. So as the cerebrospinal fluid moves up and it coalesces in that third ventricle area around the pineal gland and pituitary gland, that the energy of the Kundalini starts to pulse in that cerebrospinal fluid, which is another reason why it's good to stay hydrated, but especially when you use this technology. And that surrounding fluid bathes the pituitary gland and the thalamus and the pineal gland in this Kundalini energy, and then it eventually rises up through all these axons up to and around the crown of the head and up through the center of the head like a crown of light. And it is developing these higher reaches of the brain, such that, you know, when you see pictures of the Buddha in a lotus position, sitting on the lotus, that lotus is the crown, and it's meaning that he's transcended his mind. Okay, he's transcended that that contracted self identification. So getting back again, the third eye area is really these three areas working in tandem. So having your attention there, putting your attention, being aware of the energy as it's moving up through this third eye area is one of the best ways to develop the third eye. And then just as your spirit starts to shine forth and guide you, and you start to ask, okay, well, what should I be eating? It will help you to make better choices in your diet. Sometimes, depending on where you live, like where I live, there's not a lot of health food choices here. So you just kind of have to wing it. You do your best. But at the same time, what some teachers have kind of taught is this idea that you can eat your way to enlightenment. That if you just decalcify the pineal gland through your foods and you eat enough organic foods and ormus, that you'll just start becoming enlightened. But really, you got to have that inner practice. And the foods can and will help. But I have found that even when my diet's not been pure, I've had a strong third eye because of this practice. And what's cool about this is you can take it wherever you go. You know, it's you know, there's no Whole Foods where I live now, where I moved back where my family lives in southern Indiana. There aren't any Whole Foods here, so I don't get all those choice health foods that I used to be able to get. But I can still practice regardless of where I am. And so, again, coming back to this calcification idea, I believe there's something to it, but I wouldn't. I believe it can be overridden. That if you're really working this area through these practices, it will, in my guesstimation, I would guess that it probably helps mitigate any calcification that would normally happen from your diet, because you're doing something to counteract that with your inner practice and with your attention. Because by putting your attention in this area, you're literally sending energy there. So does that help, Jerome?
Yeah, I think that was a fantastic answer. Do you want to go to the next one, Eric?
Sure. Okay, what do we got here?
I can read it for you. It's from David Bell. And it says, could you explain the difference between the golden proportion and the golden proportion mandala and remove negative energy mandalas?
Okay, sure. So the golden proportion naturally, again, with some of these mandalas, some of the first ones I did, these are the remove negative energy is it's an early mandala I did based on a solid concept that did work, but for some reason it does seem to cause confusion in people. Just not the energy itself, but the name of the mandala causes confusion. So what the golden proportion or golden mean energy, which is a tripartite energy that has the higher harmonic of gold, the higher harmonic of ultralight, and the horizontal negative green in it, which is neither it's neither horizontal nor negative nor green. It's a technical term. But these three beneficial energies together are what I refer to as golden mean energy. Okay, and they have a natural balancing effect on certain types of other subtle energies, particularly on a subtle energy that's referred to in radiesthesia as vertical negative green, such that, so for example, most electronic devices produce vertical negative green. It's a detrimental subtle energy that's detrimental for living systems. So that if you pull up the golden proportion mandala, it will naturally eradicate that negative energy, and it will also fill the room with this golden proportion energy. Okay, so it's one way of balancing that particular detrimental subtle energy. Okay, there's another way to do that. Actually, there's several ways of doing it. There's another type of subtle energy gradient that's referred to in radiesthesia as positive green or horizontal green, and it will also naturally balance that vertical negative green that normally accompanies detrimental EMFs. Several different types of energies will do that. So what I did was I worked with a signature that's designed specifically to just remove vertical negative green. It doesn't work on the principle of golden proportion energy. All it does is remove the vertical negative green. That's all it does. It doesn't supply the golden proportion energy. So that's the difference between it and the golden proportion. The golden proportion tends to be more, it feels more like you're in nature. It has more of a sacred, really deep spiritual emanation to it. Whereas this one won't have that, but it will naturally just reduce and erase any vertical negative green that's in your environment. It'll normally do that. So it's just two ways to doing the same thing, and some people prefer the remove negative energy over the golden proportion for various reasons. It was just another experiment to see if I could do it, and I did do it. So that's the main difference between those two.
Thank you so much, Eric. There's someone, Matt is asking the question, will you be releasing the third eye activation mandala that we used in the meditation?
Go ahead.
Did you hear the question, Eric?
Will I be releasing the third eye activation? Yeah, somewhere down the road. This was not actually a finished product. It's more of something that I just put together in the last several days. So it's probably not as strong as it could be. It's nice, and I'm loving it, but I'm not sure how everyone else out there experienced it. But yeah, it will probably become available probably fairly soon.
Okay. Some folks are asking about digital Shaktipat. I don't know if you want to answer any of those questions today.
When will digital Shaktipat be released? Man, I've been getting that question, and I just don't answer it anymore because every time I give you an answer, it ends up being wrong. And then people get angry at me because, well, where is it? You said it would be finished. And the thing is, I've never, ever created anything like this before. I don't know anyone who has, at least not the way I'm envisioning it. So there is no there's no manual as to how to do it. It's never been done before. So when I say it'll be done in 3 months, that's because I'm trying to please you and I want to get it done in 3 months, but then I find out 3 months later, well, I was wrong. I run into various setbacks, but we're getting close, okay? So I can tell you it will be out this year, and it shouldn't take any longer than 3 to 6 months to have it ready, and I'm very excited about it. So I hope that helps. I hope, but we are getting a lot of questions about that.
Yeah, it's gonna be a big deal the day that it comes out. Are you able to go to the Facebook group? There are a couple of comments on the thread that we have there. If you want, I could just read a couple of them off, or you
please
look at them. Okay. Let me bring one up.
But before you do,
Sure.
I just want to go back and I just want to apologize to Michael Marino, who asked me about the Prana Heart demo. I feel like I was a little bit just a little bit harsh because I said, well, you let out the secret that the demos have the whole energy in them. Now people can just download the demos. But the truth is, you know what? That's the way it is, and I just want to trust that I'm taken care of no matter what. But yeah, that's true. The demos typically have the full energy in them, and you could use those as standalone amplifiers because since they're so small in file size, they won't take up as much memory if you want to open up 20 of them. So anyway, I think it's a great question, Michael, and I just wanted to go back and make sure that that we're okay on that.
Oh yeah, I didn't realize when I asked the question that we were. I thought this was just the beta testers group. I didn't even realize this was a public group.
Oh, you didn't?
No,
Okay.
I didn't. I
It's
had a
okay.
bunch of
I
beta.
mean, that's just the way it is. You know, that's why people ask me, well, why don't you show me a picture of the mandala? Well, because technically, if I showed you a full-size picture of the mandala in ping format, you don't have to buy it. You can just download it and you've got it. It's got the
Mm.
energy in it. That's one of the difficult parts about marketing this is um, is that someone could just download the picture, and if they knew how to use it right, they would never have to buy the product. And you know, we're still a really small company, and um, uh, you know, we're still getting our everything together, and I'm you know, I'm just very much dependent upon the support of the customers to be able to continue the work. You know, but it's a legitimate question, and you know, the fact of needing a smaller uh, version of the audio to allow you to amplify it more, that's legitimate, you know. And I, for some reason, I didn't think that way, you know. So that's great. Just want to make sure you and I are on we're good together.
Oh yeah, that's fine.
I love you, brother. Uh,
You too.
so okay, guys, what do we got next?
There is one question in the chat still that I missed. It was somebody is asking, would you share with us, Eric, your daily meditation practice?
Sure, sure. Where would you like me to send it? I'm just kidding. By mail or that's a joke. Okay. So yeah. So what I do, okay, guys. Now, if any of y'all you know me, you know me. I'm a little overweight. I probably, in terms of being integral, I haven't been completely integral in terms of physical fitness for the last several years. I've gotten in such a mode of working long hours behind the desk that sometimes I haven't made exercise um, an important part of my practice. Well, I've just started doing that again. So what I do first thing when I get up, now it does have to change. The basic what I do is I get up um, and I just kind of let myself wake up a little naturally, you know. I say prayers. I say a prayer to allow my higher self, the divine, you know, let me be a pure vehicle for you today, for your love, light, and wisdom, and just guide this day. You know, think through me, speak through me, act to me, and then I go out and I just take a nice long walk. And my goal is to keep taking longer and longer walks. And when I get up to where I can, you know, start walking for several miles at a time, I'll probably eventually start going back into the gym and building my fitness back up that way. But then when I come back, then I feel nice and ready for the meditation. That's why I kind of led up with that. And what I will do, very basic, is I come back and I will work with different subtle energy signatures. Sometimes I will work with, lately at times I've worked with the Shanti product, which we're going to be releasing tomorrow. That's the announcement that's coming out this evening, is that we're releasing a new audio product tomorrow called Shanti, the energetic signature of unconditional calmness, fearlessness, and peace. But sometimes I'll also meditate with just whatever signature I'm working on at the time that is related to meditation, because I'm always having to work on new signatures and amplify them. So I'll generally have the whole lab, which is my house right now, just filled with the energy. And I will either, like what I did tonight, was I just sat silently in the energy. And I did this basic third eye meditation that we did tonight, where I allowed my focus to be funneled in and out of the point between the eyebrows, and then I just kept observing the observer observing, and anything that was coming up, I just saw it dissolving in pure space, and I just allowed myself to merge in that feeling and to be one with it. and that's that simple. I will have different variations. There's a lot of different types of variations that I was taught in the spiritual lineage that I was a part of for several years. It was a part of the Shaktipan initiation that I received several years ago. That includes Jnana, for example, asking who or what am I? What is the nature of this consciousness? Once I've reached a certain level of meditative absorption in the meditation, sometimes it'll be it'll be as simple as just complete devotion, just worshiping that that aspect of God that's other than my small self, and just giving myself over in devotion. Sometimes it's just observing. Sometimes it's releasing emotions. If there's a lot of strong emotional content coming up, allow myself to journey into the center of the center of the center of the center of the epicenter of the intensity of the feeling while I'm observing it at the same time, to allow that to come up and release. Then I will do that for 60 minutes. What I want to get back to is doing that for 60 minutes in the morning and 60 minutes in the evening. Right now, for a while, it's just been 60 minutes a day. But when I first started on this path, it was an hour in the morning and an hour in the evening, and I find that works best. So that's what I'm working back to, is an hour in the morning and an hour in the evening. So does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thanks.
Very thorough.
Any other questions, guys? I don't want to keep you guys if anybody needs to go, but I'm happy to answer questions.
I wanted to ask about the eyes, the focus with the eyes. Have you found yourself, lately I found myself doing things like focusing in the eyes mentally in a way that you really can't do physically. Actually, I was doing it tonight. Looking up sometimes is a little bit, involves a little bit more effort sometimes than I want. So what I actually did at some point is I actually looked like, it's also another technique, but I kind of doubled it, and that is I looked toward the tip of my focus was toward the tip of the nose. The eyes were going down a little bit, but then my consciousness was going up into the third eye.
Okay.
At the same time. Or sometimes I go back and around and down into the brainstem. Have you experimented at all with them?
Yeah, I'm not. I want to make sure I'm on the same page as you. When you say going back to the brainstem, you mean the center of your focus?
Yeah. So, for instance, another thing would be, most of the time I prefer to go, even if I'm focusing on the third eye, I prefer to let the eyes rest downward a little bit.
Sure, that's your sweet spot. That's
Yeah,
your sweet spot.
And
That's
then the other,
different for each person. Yeah.
Yeah. And actually, when I mean the brainstem, the point where the top of the interesting area is the point where the top of the spine connects to the brain.
Sure.
Can actually go up and back around and down into there. That's the only way I can put it.
Actually, that's interesting that you brought that up. I don't know if anybody taught you that, but that's actually part of the meditation tradition. There is a meditation called the 4-point meditation, or the lotus meditation, where you start off focusing on the area between the eyes, and then you switch the focus to the center of the brain, just above the brainstem, and then you focus it to the back of the head, right where the curvature meets the skull. You know, where
the mouth
it starts.
Of God, yeah.
Right there. That's actually a secret focus point. You don't hear a lot about in the traditions, but it's a powerful place to put your attention. I would recommend, if you do that, to start off with the third eye first, because that gets the energy flowing.
Right.
And then you reverse it back here to this area, right where the skull starts to curve down back to the neck, and it has this distinct feeling. And one of the easiest ways to keep it's a difficult to place to keep your focus, as well as the center of your brain as well. because we're just not used to doing it. So
Right.
what I found is a nice way to do that is to just take the first two fingers of one of your hands and touch that area right back there. And then after you've touched it, put your hand down, but imagine that the fingers are still back there in that spot.
Ah.
And just put your attention there. And then I like to imagine a ball of light right there. And what's powerful about that spot is because that's an area where the energy can get stuck.
Mhm.
There's exercises you can do. So, for example, if you're sitting upright, you can take whatever your predominant hand is, with the place the palm out in front of you with the thumb down. Then take the hand directly behind your head and right at the crook of your neck, back of your neck there, and just sweep up, like you're sweeping the energy up and out, and that helps get the stuck energy flowing back there. And yeah, and just imagine a ball of light in that back of that area, and what that you'll often feel the energy, the Kundalini, just sweeping up and over the head and up through the crown, because that really opens it up there. So that's interesting. And did someone teach you that, or did you just?
No, well, it's interesting. I stumbled onto it all from this trying to dissolve this tumor in my benign tumor in my auditory nerve. It started by clicking. You know, I learned how to click the top without you know, if you blow out your nose but you hold your nose, your ears will click, or like you swallow. I can make the ears click, 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 click.
Oh, okay.
And what that does, it's almost like rubbing flint together. It's almost like rubbing sparks. And then from that, then I also developed. Well, one method I was taught was the Ohm technique at SRF, but they have you physically close off the ears, so you listen for the Ohm, you know, the internal ocean. But from the clicking, I've learned how to hollow out the ears without closing off my ears. It's much more powerful. And you know how like when you yawn, your ears hollow out?
Yeah.
Well, you can do that hollowing out without yawning.
Oh.
You eyes down, and just relax. And then you just kind of like, it's almost like the faintest start of a yawn, but not really. And then the ears hollow out, and the better you become at that, then what naturally happens is that with the hollowing out gets strong enough, the energy starts going up around the head and then back and down into the brainstem.
Okay.
It's pretty bizarre, but it's been.
Well, thank you for that, Michael. I think that's a great question. I would love to talk about that more. I'm seeing a lot more questions here on Facebook, so we're running a little bit over, which I'm fine with. I just don't want anyone else to feel like they have to stay if they don't want. But if you don't mind, I'm just going to go ahead and jump to some of these other questions. But that's great.
Sure.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I'm looking at a question right now. I see a question mark. I haven't read it yet. Wondering if, okay, the latest, JP Lambert is asking, wondering if phi ratio would be fractal. Yes, phi ratio is fractal. You're going to find people that are a lot more knowledgeable about fractals, and even the phi ratio more than me, okay? But generally, as I understand it, the what makes the phi ratio fractal is because, first of all, a fractal is a self-repeating pattern, okay? And so essentially, the more a pattern repeats itself inside of itself, you've got a condensation of energy, because essentially, the more you dive into a fractal, the more it just keeps unfolding and unfolding and unfolding into infinity. So you literally have infinity in the size of a pinprick, right? Where the phi ratio comes in is the phi ratio seems to be the optimal ratio at which these fractals can duplicate themselves according to the phi ratio. That way they're able to it's a type of implosion. They're able to fold inward in on themselves in this ratio in such a way that allows them to condense energy in the most optimal way without destroying itself. And when you look at, for example, living water, where the Austrian researcher, let me see if I can think of his name. I haven't been reading his stuff lately, so sometimes these things, he was from Austria, Schauberger. What Schauberger found was that in areas where the water was really living, it had the most life force in it, was where it created these natural spirals, where you see creeks and riverbeds, where you have these bends that are in the river are there for a purpose, because it keeps the water turning in these spirals and it keeps it alive and living. And what he found was that the most life force filled water had these intricate spirals in them that were spiraling forward according to the phi ratio, because it actually allowed this water in the center of the spiral to move forward at the quickest speed with the least amount of resistance, to the point that it was actually, all resistance was absolutely taken out of the equation. So there's something about the phi ratio when it comes to implosion and inward spirals and fractals that allows a maximum optimal infolding of energy and energy capacity. And that's probably about as much as I can say on it. So, okay. Edith Miller, a question from Edith. It says, I've been nervous of using audio acupuncture, sort of not knowing if I'd get it wrong somehow. Well, first of all, audio acupuncture, again, I want to make, I'd rather not talk about products that are from my former company, because technically, I don't know if you know this, guys, but I don't own those products anymore. I gave those products to that company. I gave up total ownership to be able to leave. So I'm happy to talk about them, but I don't want people to get confused to think that we sell audio acupuncture. We don't. If you're interested in audio acupuncture, and it is a great one, it's gotten a lot of great reviews, that is available at iWake Technologies, okay? So, but that said, you don't have anything to worry about with that, Edith. Just play. It's very mild. It won't hurt you. It won't cause any overwhelm. Just play it. Just play the audio. It doesn't come with a mandala, because those were an early version of the audio, and I didn't create mandalas back then. And just play the audio and amplify it if you feel like you need to. It's a pretty gentle one, and a lot of people really love that one. So nothing to be afraid of there. Let's see here. And I'm hearing from Jamil. Jamil's asking, you mentioned stuck energy. I have most of my stuck energy right in the pineal gland area. Any techniques and mandalas that you recommend from your experience? I don't have any specific mandalas designed to release stuck energy in the pineal gland. The best thing you can do, okay, now when I release the third eye activation mandala, that will definitely help, and just use that and do the meditation, or you could just come back to this replay. By the way, guys, when this is finished, immediately after we finish the broadcast, you can come back to this page and there will be a replay on this same page that you can access anytime, probably until we do the next webinar, so it'll be available for the next 2 weeks. We'll probably start archiving the recordings. I know they will be accessible on the Subtle Energy Sciences YouTube channel anytime as well. But you can just come back and play this recording and meditate with that third eye meditation that we did. That's going to get any energy stuck there moving and up and out. Again, just that basic third eye meditation, allowing the focus to be between the eyebrows, and learning the various different techniques that I may teach later on about how to deepen that that basic meditation. But that's the best way to do it, really, is just to focus on developing your third eye. J.P. Lambert asks, does it create a torsion field? Does what create a torsion field? So please, if you're asking, does one of our products create a torsion field? All of our products create torsion fields because all subtle energy is torsion. Okay? So there's no difference. It's the same thing. What does torsion mean? Torsion just simply means that space-time is being twisted. Now, you know how gravity is said to cause the curvature of the Earth, right? But we really don't have any scientific explanation for what causes spin. When you get to the atomic level and the subatomic level, everything's spinning. The planets also spin on the macro level. We really don't have a scientific explanation to explain spin. Well, spin and torsion are basically the same thing. So what we would say is that really gravity, where you have the curvature of space-time, and the spinning of atoms and planets, or the revolving of planets and atoms, is a result of the subtle energetic spin or torsion. And so there are some physicists out there who posit that the fifth missing force of physics is in fact subtle energy or torsion. Okay? Because, for example, when you look at the chakras, what are the chakras doing? Well, it's a swirling of energy, right, at various centers along the spine in the body. So you got, again, this spinning, swirling energy. The Kundalini energy is said to go straight up the spine only when the left and right channels of prana, the Ida and Pingala, what do? They spiral around each other. And where they meet is where the chakras start, right? And as they spiral, if the energy spirals in both of these channels simultaneously, creating a scalar wave, then the Kundalini energy will begin to rise up the spine. And essentially, when we're entering into these deeper states of meditation, using focus on the third eye as our biofeedback mechanism, it's essentially creating this scalar wave where the left and right channels start swirling up in balance with one another so that they, in a sense, cancel each other out and awaken the higher Kundalini that goes up the center Sushumna channel. So that's a little bit about torsion. Anthony Harden asks, Eric, do you still feel that binaural beats are effective for meditation? Sure. Hey, look, it depends on where you are in your journey. I personally don't like using them anymore, but I'm not going to tell anyone else that they shouldn't use them. The energy, for me, does something that the binaural beats have never ever did for me in all the years that I used them, and could never do, okay? Which is just one of their limitations. There are many things that binaural beats are still very good for, and other types of brainwave entrainment, like isochronic entrainment, is great for things like ADHD and such. So I don't speak against binaural beats or brainwave entrainment, but because the name of this company is Subtle Energy Sciences, you won't see me doing a lot of brainwave entrainment anymore. I still get requests. There may be a chance that somewhere down the line I might do it, but I don't want to do a lot of it because the name of the company is Subtle Energy Sciences, and one of the things we're here to do, one of our purposes, is to establish this kind of digital energy medicine as a real viable energy medicine technology that creates real change. And we can't do that if we're mixing it with binaural beats, because what I found in the past is when you do that, people say, well, I'm getting a great effect, but it's only because of the binaural beats. Because, again, they don't know anything about the subtle energy. To them, it's just woo-woo. So any positive effects they're experiencing, they simply give credit to the binaural beats for producing those. And I realized that the only way that this company would be able to put digital energy medicine on the map and have it be taken as a serious alternative modality would be to make it stand on its own merits. So that's why you're not going to see me doing a lot of it. But I don't necessarily frown on people using brainwave entrainment. It's just for me, it no longer does the trick for me.
Loving these answers to these questions, Eric.
Oh, great.
There's a few more in the questions queue if you feel like answering some more.
Yeah, I love answering questions.
Okay, this one is coming from Brendan, and he's asking, just curious, what differences are there, if any, between organ, chi, and prana energy?
Great question. I will tell you first that the research is not definitive enough to say this with absolute precision, okay? But there are some differences. So I remember asking my Shaktipat master this question soon after I first received Shaktipat initiation. Because, man, I was very interested in subtle energy even then. And he told me that, for example, chi and prana are not the same thing, because even in the literature, in the traditional literature and oral traditions of prana and chi, you typically have in Chinese medicine 3 types of chi, or 2 or 3 types of chi. Whereas prana, you have 5 different types of prana. So that would, if you approach it merely from a academic level, then that would suggest that they are different. Now, why would I put any merit to that argument? Well, because now there's someone that I know of. I don't know him very well, but he's a fantastic dowser, and he uses various forms of dowsing to check different energetic signatures. Now, a lot of people consider various types of dowsing to be completely subjective, and I'm convinced that some of them are. But nonetheless, there are some very effective and reliable dowsers that have been verified by science. For example, there is a study that Claude Swanson talks about in his book Life Force, the Scientific Evidence, where he talks about a comparison that was done in the oil industry, where they took a team of geologists using very high-tech oil detection equipment, and they matched them up against a dowser who douses for oil. And this guy makes his living. Okay, so he's a very wealthy man, actually, dowsing for oil. And basically, they each had to find 20 whales each. And what it ended up happening at the end of the study was the dowser had a 100% success rate, while the geologist had about I think it was like a 43% success rate. So there is at least some evidence out there showing that dowsing can be very effective in finding various forms of energy, including oil and water and what have you. So this particular dowser, there was another dowser that I'm aware of who had doused a signature, a recorded signature that he said had the energy signature of chi in it, right? And I've also doused that signature. And there's when you douse that and you douse orgone energy, you heard me earlier talk about these higher harmonics or gradations of energy that have been recorded in radiesthesia. There were two early radiesthesists in the early 19th century, early 20th century. They were French. They went by the name of Chamarie and de Balazao, and they had essentially used. I won't go into it because I don't want to confuse people, but they had essentially used carefully calibrated pendulums using specific shapes to modulate different energies. And they came to the conclusion that there were 12 gradations of subtle energy that they identified as the 12 higher harmonics. And they just happened to correlate with the 12 chakras that are taught in some Hindu systems. For example, Sri Aurobindo in Integral Yoga, where you have the 7 chakras in the body, then you have 2 below and 3 above the head, for a total of 12 chakras. And they weren't even aware of the chakra tradition, and they found these subtle energetic gradations. I find that particular work to be credible and reliable. And so what modern dowsers have found, at least some, is that orgone energy radiates all 12 of those higher harmonics. And that is the higher harmonic of black, the higher harmonic of infrared, the higher harmonic of red, the higher harmonic of orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet, ultraviolet, and white, and horizontal negative green. I think those are the 12. So those are found in orgone, but you won't find them in chi, okay? Which I find very interesting. Then so that right there, if that's to be trusted, that tells you that chi and orgone are not the same thing, although they're probably related. And you might think of this in terms of gradations of the rainbow. In truth, even though red is at the bottom of the rainbow and violet is at the top of the rainbow, they're really part of the rainbow. So they're really related, and they're part of the same thing, but they're different gradations of the same energy. And that, I think that's a better way to understand how some of these relate to one another. Does that help?
Absolutely. Fantastic answer to that question, Eric.
Okay, J.P. Lambert, have you heard of the Russian pyramid research? Absolutely, I've done a lot of research myself. Mandala making material. Sure, actually, I have this. If you've heard of the Russian pyramid research, I've sampled that signature, and I do have that as I have that signature, and I've been planning to make it into a product. The question is, what kind of product to make it? It wouldn't be right to market it as the Russian pyramid signature, name it that, because you know, a lot of people wouldn't even understand it, and the people who would, again, I'd rather have it be more of a signature that stands on its own. But I did sample that signature. It's a beautiful signature. It's very healing. It's the time that I've spent with it, when I've amplified it and spent some time in it, it's said to speed up healing on a number of levels. I didn't get to spend enough time to see whether or not it does that, but it seems like that's probably the case. It does profoundly reduce stress, no doubt about it. It's very relaxing. It's very, very, very relaxing. That was the biggest thing that I noticed from it. And so, yes, I do have that, and yes, I've been wondering about how to make a product from it. But, you know, with products, you got it. You know, this is a business, so you have to find a way to be able to package them in such a way that it makes sense to people so that they buy it. I don't want to just call it the Russian pyramid energy, because the guy, Alexander Golod, who built the Russian pyramid might not appreciate that. So, but it is a genuine signature captured from that, and it's beautiful. It's really, really beautiful, and yeah, I appreciate you bringing that up. Jamil, again, can you discuss your practice with Ormus experience, and do you still use it? I don't use it a lot. Again, you guys probably, the way I use this technology is going to be very different from the average person because I'm always working on new technology. Okay, so that means because the amplification process, that is getting the amplitude of the signature nice and fat so that the average person can feel it, because as you know, I mean, most people are conditioned not to feel subtle energy. So it takes a great deal of time to amplify a subtle energetic signature in digital format to get it strong enough, right? So that it's literally transforms your electronic devices into life force energy machines. And because of that, I have to spend a great deal of time in this office, in this lab, working pretty much 7 days a week. And so I've always got a new signature running on the amplification process. I have a proprietary software and techniques that facilitates this. And it's always running on my computer. And if I were to, for example, open up Ormus while that amplification process is running in the same room, some of that energy from the Ormus program is going to bleed into the signal that's being amplified on the computer, and which is not a big deal in the beginning because if a little bit gets in there, you're not going to feel it. I mean, but the longer I run that amplification process, that small signature that bleeded into it or bled into it will eventually become stronger and stronger and stronger. And so I really have to keep this place very clean energetically. And that means I have to limit my use of certain signatures. And in fact, some of the signatures, like I don't use catalysts unless I turn the amplification process on a new signature off. Otherwise, it will blend together. Or if I'm in a completely different building, then I can use it. So I have to be careful about how I do this. I can't just run multiple programs all the time while I'm working on a new one. So I don't use Ormus a lot. It was the first audio program that we did create here. If you've heard my story, you know that when I created that, I don't like to go into it a lot, but it helps give context. When I left iAwake, I was basically told that they couldn't buy me out. So in turn, I gave them full ownership of all the products. The only thing is they just go ahead and pay my normal salary, which would be a certain percentage of the profits for a year, and then after that it would just drop to 10%. And during that year, I wasn't allowed to create any brainwave entrainment. I had to abide by other principles. And so during that year, I was going to use that year. I had no funding, so I was literally funding all the research. I was working on creating Digital Shaktipat, and I thought I could have it ready in 3 to 6 months. But I wound up working on it for the entire year, and there were a lot of things that were elusive because I'm still learning about this science. So during that time, iAwake's business began to dwindle, and so my checks from iAwake got smaller and smaller and smaller. When I depleted most of my savings, which I was using to fund my research, then iAwake, those checks got so small I couldn't even pay my rent. So I literally created Ormus as just a way of saying, look, I've got to get a product out there, or I'm literally going to be homeless. So that I created that very quickly. I was happy with it, but I don't consider it my best work. I think it's a good product. It is safe. You don't have to worry about it. It's not going to hurt you. But I do plan to do an audio Ormus 2.0 down the road. And you can just take 15 minutes a day with it and still get long-term benefits as long as you're using it for 15 minutes at a time every day. If you can't handle more than 15 to 30 minutes with the mandala, it may, you just need to make the doses smaller and maybe take several doses, small doses in a day rather than trying to take big doses. So from Miguel, Eric, do you plan to sell back your products that are no longer available for purchase? Like, for instance, Ormus and Prana Heart. Like I said, I'm going to make an audio Ormus 2.0 down the road because I know I can make a much better version. And Prana Heart, I probably won't make a new version of that, but I will make a new heart-centered meditation product down the road because I think that's very, very important. And there's nothing wrong with those products, by the way, guys. I just tend to be very perfectionistic about what I create, and I always want to make sure that what I have out there available is the best I have to offer. And if I feel like I can improve it, I'll eventually take it off the market, improve it, and then put it back out there because I just want to keep delivering the very best that I can put out there. Michael Marino, what is the Russian pyramid guy's name you just mentioned? Alexander Golod. G-O-L-O-D. You could just Google Russian pyramid and you'll probably find him. There is a Wikipedia for it. And they refer, as Wikipedia does, because it's such an expert, it does refer to the Russian pyramid research as pseudoscience, but not because it knows what it's talking about. It just refers to it because it likes to call things pseudoscience. It really doesn't know what it's talking about. But okay. Any other questions, guys?
I just wanted to mention, Eric, that I really like some of the things you have been doing with the audio lately.
Oh, cool.
Especially, I don't know what you did with the, well, it's one that's still in beta, but the chanting, the Om.
Yeah, that's still. Let's not talk about any beta products, Michael.
Okay. Okay.
It's going to get people asking questions about things that I can't really give them answers for because it's still in beta.
But I like the idea of supporting the subtle energy with sounds that kind of support it. That's, I guess, the best way I can put it.
Yeah, I'll try to be more and more mindful of that. Sound. I don't necessarily consider myself to be a sound expert, an audio expert. I'm more of an energy alchemist. That's what I really consider myself to be. But yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
Sure.
Eric, there's a question here regarding Catalyst from Elizabeth, and she's asking in Catalyst and some of the information that's been provided about it, where you're talking about the different layers. What does this mean? What are all the layers there? Are they in one mandala, or are there several mandalas? So she's just wanting clarification on.
All the layers are available in all the audios and all the mandalas. If you open one mandala, you're getting all the layers. So what a layer means is it's just a nicer word for energetic signature. Okay, some people don't know what energetic signature means. So where you see layer 1, I forget what all the layers, how they're ordered on the sales page there, how we ordered them. But like I know one of the layers is enthusiasm. Okay, so that means there's an actual energetic signature for enthusiasm in Shanti. And if you're only listening to 1 second of Shanti, or excuse me, of Catalyst, or if you're listening to 10 minutes of Catalyst, that 1 second or that entire 10 minutes has all the layers in it. Just like a layer cake. If you take a piece of layer cake, you get all the layers. no matter how big you make the slice. That makes sense?
Yeah, that was a great
Yeah,
answer.
if you cut into a nice big dish of lasagna, you know, you get all the layers regardless of where you cut into it. As long as you cut down and get a traditional piece, you know. Yeah. So, but yeah, as good as that metaphor works, I know some people like to just cut out the bottom and take the top off and just eat the top and not eat the bottom. A traditional piece. If you cut a square, you're getting all layers. So.
There's one more quick question from David Bell. He's asking, will there be a way to amplify the mandalas on phone someday, or is there any hack where someone could amplify the mandalas now on a phone?
There's a small hack. We are working on an app. There's problems with working on the app because once you get the app for the phone ready, then for iPhone, then they're going to want an app for Android. Once you get that ready, they're going to say, well, now I want an app for PC and for Mac. We had an old app for PC, but there's things, it's still people allow to use it. We've not had many returns for it, but there's a lot of things that can be improved on it, so I discontinued that. We're working on a new version, but as soon as we get an app for PC fully ready, then some people are going to say, well, I want one for Mac and I want one for my iPhone. And the truth is, so you literally have to create all 4 apps at once. That's incredibly expensive. I just found out that the cost for developing just an iPhone app is $15,000.
Oh.
Okay, so then multiply that times 4, and that's what we're working with. So it is in works, but it's probably going to take a little while. A little hack that you can do, okay, is, and by the way, if any of you are developers and you want to help me with this, I have a friend in Russia who's probably going to be spearheading the development of these apps, and probably going to have all 4 apps for Mac, PC, Android, and iPhone developed side by side. That way they're congruent with one another, streamlined with one another. But there is a small hack you can do. Basically, in fact, there's a video. I can explain it to you, but I don't want it to be too confusing. If you go to the website, subtle.energy/instructions, you'll see there's a big video that pops up, but you just want to scroll down, and there's a whole series of video tutorials. You'll find a video there that says a neat little trick that you can use to amplify the energy on a smartphone. It's about 3 or 4 minutes long. And go ahead.
Oh, is it iPhone or Android?
It should work on any phone. I have an iPhone. I can't do an Android video because I don't own an Android. I've never used an Android, and you know, I can't just, you know, I'm not just going to go out and buy one. But if anyone but it should be able to be done on an Android as well, because they should have the same functions. Essentially, all you're going to do is on an iPhone, you can set the wallpaper for both your lock screen and your wallpaper, or in your back screen.
Right.
So what you would do, I have to get my cat's jumping up on my desk, and he's going to create havoc. I'm curious. I love him. What you do is you just, if you want to amplify a mandala 3 times, you would select a mandala, set it as both your lock screen and your wallpaper. So now you've got 2 instances of it that are going to be broadcasting 24/7. Even when you've hit that top right button that blacks the phone out and it's off, it'll still be emanating the energy. And then on top of that, you can just go to the photos function. Once you've done that, go to the photos function, pull up the same mandala as a photo, and then hit the blank out button on the top right that blanks the screen out. And even though the screen's blanked out, that photo that you just pulled up using the photo function will also be active. And so you have three mandalas, three of the same
Right.
mandalas being broadcast. That's a nice way to amplify it. And then if you were using something like the Catalyst mandala, you could add to that the iPod function using the Catalyst audio. That way you'd have the Catalyst audio plus three Catalyst mandalas.
Eric, I just thought I mentioned, in fact, that maybe I'll post this, but there's a way with the Androids that you can open as many as you want as your Android's memory can handle. And well, there's two ways. One is, and I don't know if you can do the same thing with the iPhone, but you can download all sorts of picture apps, picture viewing apps, file managers, anything like that. I know on the Android, the more you download, the more you can open that mandala in a different app. So, for instance, I have Photo Viewer, I have My Files, I have a gallery, and then I have a whole bunch of third-party ones that aren't part of the phone that I've downloaded. Many of them are free. Some of them may cost $1 or $2, and I can open like 10, 15 pictures on my phone at once by opening them with different apps, different photo viewing apps. The other way you can do it is in the Android, as long as you're not using an external card, that as long as the mandalas are on the internal memory of the phone, you can access them from the browser, from the Chrome browser. And actually, there's a path to that, and I won't get it. Basically, you can do it by referring to them, the path that gets to them, which folder they're in from the Chrome browser, and then you just open another tab in the Chrome browser and another and another. You can do it. You can just do it at as much as memory as your phone can handle. That one I'll post in the practitioners group. I was going to and I forgot to. I never did.
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah, and Joshua, maybe we can get that up to the instruction page as well.
Yeah, there's a number of adjustments that need to be made on that instructions page. So for those who are listening, you can look forward to some updates over the coming weeks.
Yeah, by the way, guys, this is Joshua Seymour. He and Jason are they're with Euphoric Media, and they're helping me. Basically, they're building this entire new site. So ask you to please be patient with us. I know some of you have asked me questions about navigating the new site. And a lot of your questions I can't answer because I'm learning myself. So, but these guys are doing a fantastic job, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how the new site shapes up. But it's looking great.
Is it open to the public, the new site?
Yeah, let me go ahead and share with you the link. Where can I share the link for the Shanti page? Michael Marino, you've been logging into the new site as a beta tester.
No, I know that, but in other words, I have some people that if they're interested in, hey, why don't you go check out our site? I give them the new site now, not the old site.
Yeah. I'm going to put it in this window here and see if you guys. There's the link for Shanti. We're going to be sending an email out for that tomorrow. It's I mean, it could easily sell that as a $97 or a $77 product, and it will eventually go up to $47. But we're going to be selling it for $37 for the next week. And I put a great deal of work into this technology, so it's definitely worth it. So, yeah, but feel free to send out the new website. It's basically just subtle.energy, and you can thank Joshua for that great. I didn't realize .energy was a domain name that was available, but it is, so it fit perfectly.
And
okay.
And for those, some people have actually already purchased Shanti while we've been on this recording. There's been several orders, almost about 10 so far. And the link is just subtle.energy/Shanti. And like Eric said, it'll go out in an email, and the link will be available with the the description of the YouTube video. I believe there's already like a pop-up on the video, so I think that's how some people have been finding it. Is I put a link that people could click on while they're watching the video.
Okay. Yeah, somebody, Fazal, just asked. He said he just logged in and sorry missed the meditation. Is there any manual for Shanti audio? So there is a manual that you'll get at the download station once you've purchased it. But just to fill everybody in, the meditation that we did tonight was not Shanti, so I don't want any confusion there. But what we did tonight was a third eye activation meditation. But, yeah. So
Do you
well,
want to mention anything else about Shanti before we close it off, Eric?
Yeah, guys. So Shanti, I'm just really excited about this one. This one's gotten great reviews during the beta testing. It's the energy of unconditional calmness, fearlessness, and peace. And now, what's different from this? This is not necessary. You can use this for meditation, but this is really designed to be used all day long, or at least for several hours a day. Okay. Now, when it comes to different types of energetic stimulation, even those that induce calm, sometimes your energetic system and your nervous system can only take so much energy a day. So, but the way this is designed is you can play it for anywhere from 1 to 5, 6, 7, 8 hours a day while you're doing other things, and it's meant to be used specifically for periods when you're experiencing emotional overwhelm. When, for example, one of the ways you can use this is it really helps you to be able to calmly, the more you sit with it, the more you have to amplify the energy, it helps you to more easily sit with any overwhelming emotions that might be coming up. And it will allow you to more sit with them and witness them and experience peace rather than to be overwhelmed by the emotions. That's what this is specifically designed for. And when it comes to this particular program and peace in general, one of the things you'll notice is it doesn't necessarily produce any woo-woo where you feel high as a kite and euphoric. No, this really produces peace. And if you've ever experienced deep peace, there's literally everything is still. It just becomes stillness, and that's what peace is. It's this pure stillness. And Shanti, in my experience, and according to the beta testing, evokes this feeling of peace very, very well. It simply has the energetic signature of peace, of calmness and fearlessness, and it's going to be best used, if you're experiencing periods of fear, of emotional overwhelm, if you're in therapy and you want to be able to experience past emotional traumas without being overwhelmed by them. This is a program that can help you do that. It's anytime if you're in an environment where there's been a lot of emotional drama and you just want to instill peace back into that space, this is a great program for that. It can be used to enhance your meditation practices. I wouldn't necessarily use it as the primary meditation practice, but it can enhance your other meditation tools. It can be used to augment any other type of brain-mind programs that you're using. Let's see here. Oh yeah, hey, one of these bullet points needs to be taken out, Joshua. It's my fault, but on the page where it says that's from Catalyst, it needs to be taken out.
Okay.
Let's see. Actually, in the next one after that too. The last,
okay.
The second two to the last, they need to be taken out.
I'll take those out.
Okay, and this is a great time. Anytime you want to stay composed and calm during stressful events like job interviews, stage performances, emotionally disturbing situations, or emergencies, this is a great time to use this program. As I said, it has the signature of unconditional peace, calmness, and fearlessness in it. And it comes in the 4 different formats. The prints work great. And also, on this page, we've at times we've asked people, Eric, can you tell us some more about how you make the actual energetic signatures in digital and audio form? How do you do that? So we have a section on the Shanti page if you want to learn more about how I do that. Okay, which is pretty interesting, and we've got an FAQ on there.
Oh yeah.
And, yeah, and of course the normal 90-day money back guarantee. This is a product that I could easily sell for $77 or $97, but I just don't want to do that. I want to make the work that I do affordable, and so what we do is this is going to be a $47 product after next Thursday, but for the next week we're going to make it available for $37, a 90-day money back guarantee, no questions asked. This comes with 80 minutes of audio, a 20-minute, very beautifully recorded woodland stream soundtrack, 3D nature sounds. Track 2 is a 60-minute version of that, and they both have the Shanti energy encoded in them. And then, of course, it comes with the Shanti digital energy mandala. Comes in the 4 different formats for large computer screens, small computer screens, smartphones, and printing PDF document. This is a great value for $37, and I can tell you the amount of work and expense that I put into developing these, you're really getting your money's worth. So, as always, I appreciate your support. I've really loved doing this. We probably will have to watch the time in future webinars because I don't want to burn people out. But I really appreciate you guys hanging in there. I love doing the meditation. Love to hear your feedback on that. And keep meditating, guys, and we'll see you 2 weeks from now.